Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is Sujith here from Benzene, and in this video today I'm going to talk about what is velocity in Agile, how do we calculate velocity, what is it used for, and ways to improve velocity in your Agile teams. So let's start. What is velocity? Velocity is a simple measure of unit of work which is completed in a given time frame. Usually, the unit of work can be hours, stories, and story points, and time frames are nothing but your iterations or sprints. If your team, for example, is able to burn 30 story points in a 2 week sprint, and that is the trend, that is your average velocity, that team can complete 30 story points worth of work every sprint. So that defines how much work can be completed in a sprint by that team, and it is also the size of your increment. How is velocity calculated? Now let's take an example, guys. Let's take a team which has committed for 30 story points in sprint 1, and they have burned 27 story points. In sprint 2, they have committed for 35 story points and they have burned 35 story points. Now, if you see, how do we calculate velocity? Velocity is nothing but the average of story points burnt by the team over last 3 to 6 iterations. That is the work which your team can complete. In this example, which I just told you now, the average velocity is 27 story points burnt in sprint 1, 35 story points burnt in sprint 2, and 28 story points burnt in sprint 3. So the average velocity is sum of that divided by 3, which is nothing but 30 story points. So this team can roughly complete 30 story points worth of work in a 2 week sprint. What is velocity used for? Velocity is a simple metric which is used only for prediction of how much work is remaining in your backlog versus how many sprints more your team will need to complete it. Let's take an example. Uh, Say, for example, your team has 10 more stories, user stories worth 60 story points, and your average velocity of this team is about 30, right? So in this case, your team will need 60 divided by 3, that is 2 more sprints to complete the entire backlog. And this is how we plan in Agile. And this is Agile ways of planning where we talk about as of now, what is the backlog size versus as of now, what is our average velocity and how many more sprints we will need. So that is the usage of velocity, and this is why we use velocity. So now let's talk about techniques which will help your teams improve their velocity. The first one is reduce manual work, bring in automation testing and DevOps to continuously deploy finished work, create mature cross-functional teams so that this will help in reduction of dependencies, train your teams on multiple technologies so that they can finish their work without depending on someone else. Start completing one story before starting the second story so that there's no spillover into the next sprint. Break your stories into smaller stories. This will help the teams complete the work, get it tested, and deploy it so that they can get a feedback. Improve quality process, bring in automation testing, unit testing, bring in define proper acceptance criteria, a concrete DoD which will help reduce bugs. Do not skip your backlog refinement. This will help teams to start work without any hesitation. So guys, these are the few techniques which will help you increase your team's velocity. That is the end of our video today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thank you.